and so much. You help keep the Run, Eat, Drink podcast going, and we couldn't do it without you. Not a patron yet? Join us today at patreon.com/Run, Eat, Drink podcast.
You can also support the show by using our brand new Amazon affiliate link anytime you shop on Amazon.com for things like running gear, food, beverages, or anything else the little gray trucks might bring your way. Just go to runeatdrink.net/Amazon anytime you shop. It costs nothing extra, and it helps us keep the lights on and the bandwidth flowing. Go to runeatdrink.net/Amazon, and we thank you for your support.
Hi, team. I'm Fitz Kohler.
This is Esther Eckhart.
Hi, I'm Donna Deegan.
Welcome to the Run, Eat, Drink podcast. We feature destination races from across the country. And after the race, we take you on a tour of the best local food and beverage to celebrate. So whether you are an elite runner or a back of the packer like us, you'll know the best places to accomplish, explore, and indulge on your next runcation. Hey, welcome to this live look back episode 236 of the Run, Eat, Drink podcast. I'm your host, Amy.
And I'm your co-host, Dana.
Welcome to the show.
Welcome to the show. I wish we had confetti. No, I don't. I don't wish we had confetti.
Do you really wish we had confetti?
I do not.
For those of you who are relatively new to the show, you might not recall back in our history when we decided to celebrate our Donna virtual marathon weekend races with confetti here in the studio.
Boy, did we. And hey, the good news is the confetti is still in the studio with us.
We find it all the time.
It's everywhere.
All the time.
Fortunately, we didn't make the same mistake twice. Welcome to our show. This episode is going to be kind of a special, slightly different format, but we like doing the last episode of the year as kind of a look back over the year. And
that's true.
You know, every year's got something unique about it.
Mm-hmm.
This one, I think, is no exception.
I would say that's right.
Yeah. For better or for worse. For better or for worse. So,
it's been a unique year, I think, for a lot of people in the Runcation Nation.
Agreed.
Mm-hmm.
And we're going to look back at some great moments from the show, moments with amazing people that we had on the show.
Or
the Danny agrees.
The moments where you hear our mascots chime in about awesome moments of the show.
They liked it. And also amazing races that we were able to get to do, delicious food and tasty beverages that we were able to find along the way.
Right.
So we are super excited to do that with you. Plus, it'll answer some comments or questions that you guys might have. Drop them in the chat, regardless of what platform you might be.
Because we are doing this live. You might be listening on replay, but we are doing it live on Instagram, on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter.
Yes.
Yay.
Yes, we are. So please, if you are in the chat, do us a favor, drop a comment, tell us who you are, where you're from, what you're drinking tonight, if anything.
Yeah.
And we would love to, flash your comment up on the screen and make your Runcation Nation famous.
For those of you who are watching
episode.
Yes.
Well, yes, watching the screen.
Watching on YouTube, watching on Facebook, watching
Twitter. And next year on Twitch.
Ooh.
We're coming for you, Twitch.
Okay.
So, look at this.
Scott, welcome to our chat.
We're just, teasing everything.
We are. It's true.
So I'm going to share this for just a second.
Okay.
Give me 2 seconds and say hi to everybody.
Well, I think we just had a gentleman named Scott join our chat here on Instagram. We have Josh here. We have Cheryl here. I'm sure she's going to have an amazing dinner this evening. James Loves Trail Runs, talking about celebrating with, I believe, a 4-mile run and some shots at the end and a possible ice bath to go with it. It sounded like
you had me up until ice bath.
Awesome and painful at the same time.
I was going to say, you had me up until ice bath.
So our our plan really consists of being kind of homebodies this New Year's Eve. Wherever you are, whatever you do, if you celebrate, if you don't celebrate, we hope you have a wonderful weekend, a safe weekend. If you have any races that you are doing, feel free to let us know and tag us in your social media posts at Run Eat Drink Podcast on Facebook and on Instagram, and
Mhm.
then Run Eat Drink Pod on Twitter.
We're almost consistent everywhere.
Yeah, they just didn't. I just couldn't get on Twitter. I couldn't get it.
Couldn't
I
do
couldn't.
it.
I couldn't.
I understand.
Yeah.
I having had to be the guy that did that for work. I know sometimes you can't get the handle that you want, but that's okay.
Yeah.
It's less to type.
Mm.
But
I know people are getting ready for a big bit. I know I got to work too, Josh. So that's going to be part of the New Year's Eve day deal for both you and me. I hope whatever people do, you have a wonderful weekend and you look ahead to some great future events in the Runcation Nation, some races that I think some people have dropped into certain discussions in the Facebook group and over here in Instagram chats, and goals people have started to talk about. I applaud them. Like Susie's got it going on. JoJo is kicking St. Jude fundraising into high gear.
mhm.
Just Cheryl's looking at some serious races. Darlene is getting everything ready to accomplish her 50 states in 2023 to finish that accomplishment.
And James Loves Trail Runs.
Yeah.
Was knocking it out. So we've got so many people in the community
Mhm.
that are living the Runcation Nation lifestyle. And
Kelly
we
and
love it.
Jessica.
You guys
It's
are sending photos and posting things on social media and tagging us and sharing that. And that's really what this is all about. It's
Mhm.
supporting each other. It's finding these amazing races and places to go
Mhm.
so that you know where that next adventure is going to be. And you guys are helping us to plan our own adventures and to help each other come up with some adventures of your own. And those can be, running adventures and culinary and,
and otherwise in
and-
life.
well,
It's
yes, but I
Yeah.
mean, our main categories
Well,
are
yes,
running,
I
eating, and
know.
drinking, but
He's on brand. He's totally on brand.
but
Hi, Meg.
those translate into other things. When you are going to these races and finding new places, you're getting the chance to meet new people, you're getting the
Yeah.
chance to experience new food and beverage and flavors, and by extension in those places meeting the restaurateurs and the fellow patrons, and it opens up so
It's
much
true.
being able to do that, and it's due in no small part to you guys.
Right?
But now you this year, you introduced the shout outs portion to the show,
Yes.
and I'm not seeing shout outs in our notes beyond what we've just kind of been talking about there.
Well, Meg has just joined the chat, and Cheryl, and Cheryl says she's drinking a raspberry lemonade sour from Blockhead Beer Works out of Indiana.
Oh,
Meg has joined the chat, and she is just coming back strong in her recovery. Cheryl says she won't be cleared to run for another month or two, but the PT says she's making excellent progress. So shout out to Cheryl.
there you go.
Yeah. And every time she posts a picture on Instagram of her wearing her green runny drink workout gear,
Mhm.
I just love that shirt. I just love that shirt. So I just and shout out to Jessica and Kelly, who are just, they are here, there, everywhere. They run up just for, it's a quick jaunt over here to North Carolina,
Or
or
just going to Kiowa
you know,
Island because
yeah,
that's
well,
what you
just
do on a
whatever.
on a weekend
Yeah. Well,
from Florida.
yes, I think that everybody has inspired us. There's Darlene, who is just, I mean, she's getting on a plane. And she is just here, there, and everywhere. Susie's doing it.
Mm-hmm.
JoJo's doing it. I can't thank you all enough for sharing your photos, sharing your training, sharing your recovery, sharing your motivation. So it's really a week where I didn't so much look for shout outs as to think back to all of the accomplishments and inspiration that this community has provided us in 2022, because we all thought 2020 was tough with virtual racing and the things that impacted our community.
The pandemic.
And I think 2022 might have been a bigger challenge just for us.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
And before we get to talking about that, though, I have a shout out.
Oh, please. Yeah.
I'm going to shout out members of the Runcation Nation who donated so many amazing items to our silent auction that we just wrapped up right there at right before Christmas. And shout out to you for doing our very first fundraiser,
for donating and bidding
at the Run Eat Drink podcast.
Yeah.
And we set a very we think an ambitious goal as people who are not really accustomed to doing any kind of fundraising like this through the show. And we set that goal kind of internally to ourselves of hitting $1,000. And we are very pleased to announce that you guys beat that by about almost $200.
Maybe, yeah.
So we got about $1,200 raised, and that to us is huge. We are hoping next year we can double that, and we'll go for 2,000, then we'll double it again,
Well, JoJo's goals, when you think about what JoJo does for St. Jude and her, it's we aspire to that.
Absolutely.
We aspire to that. But I can't say thank you enough to Meg, who not only helped us organize and brainstorm and behind the scenes with stress and getting it all together and making it happen. I can't thank you enough for what you did. I can't thank James Loves Trail Runs enough for getting in there and kind of like creating a little bidding wars and making it really fun, super fun.
Yeah, he came in at the 11th hour and made it real, made people work for it.
Yeah, this weekend I'm going to be packaging up everything that we're going to send out. I didn't want shipping and things to be impacted by holidays and all of that. And so this weekend I'm packaging everything up and reaching out to those who donated items, who said, hey, once the auction is over, just send us the info for the person who won. So like Fitz and her course,
right,
or the autographed books from a couple of people, or just
items we don't
have here. I'm going to get the messages to them so that they can get things in the mail to you. And then we will get things in the mail that were actually sent to us by people who donated for the auction.
Absolutely.
So Jennifer Fink, how are you?
That's my shout out for you guys and for you. Great job on our very first fundraiser here for the show. So I'm very excited about that.
Yay.
But, when we do these shout outs, we do try to scour the social media throughout the week, collect them, make
the internet.
Notes.
Normally, that's what we do.
That's what we do. We've always said it, and we're going to continue to say it. We want you guys to share your shout outs with us. Let us know about the shout outs, because sometimes we can miss them. Weeks get busy.
Yeah.
If you will just send us an email to info@runeatdrink.net, that's info@runeatdrink.net.
Yeah.
You can type us out a nice message, tell us who you are, where you're from, and who needs the shout out and what for. We can make them Runcation Nation famous. Even better, record a little audio file on your phone and send that to us so that we can play it here on the show.
Yeah.
But you can also go old school.
Oh, you can call us at 941-677-2733 and leave a voicemail, which we can play on the show.
We have the technology.
We have the tools. We can make it happen. It's 941 677-2733. And I will tell you, this shout outs that we have, this section that we have introduced this year, it's been, I think, a success because we have scoured the internet, but even more so because people have actually submitted shout outs. Lindy,
Mm-hmm.
who is Dean's sister.
Right.
And just some people that we didn't even know found the show. And all of a sudden there's an email shout out.
Yeah.
We have no idea that these people have been found us during the pandemic and just kept watching and listening. So it's been wonderful to see some shout outs come in, trickle in that way. But I hope that they will continue to be emailed and to be called in. Josh has called in some.
Yes, he has.
Shout out to Josh. Yeah. So I mean, just everybody who had Jennifer Fink, Maria Miller, the late great Rob Nadeau,
Indeed,
and so many of you more. The goal this next year is to actually get more people to call in so that we can play the message back.
Mm-hmm.
Or send a little audio recording via that email address so that we can play it back, because we want to hear more of your voices and what you have to share and celebrate. I think that it makes the community stronger and happier and more inspired to keep going towards whatever goals that you all have and that we have. So that's what I'll say. And then Meg says, I just want to shout out everybody who's preparing for Dopey. Rhonda Lee, looking at you. Dawn Be Joyful and her daughter,
Yes.
recent newlywed. And Meg and her mom are going to be celebrating their birthdays running races there. So just shout out and good luck. I think our Will Run For fellow podcast hosts.
Well, and hopefully we'll get a chance to maybe meet up with them.
I hope so. Like, yeah, Tom and Diana and just they have been posting about getting ready, and it's yeah.
I know. Time's running out. It's amazing how much is happening right here at the end of the year, and then how
Naren
much
and Michael too.
And we've run out of time, and we're about to turn right around and be back up there for marathon weekend to cheer people on, do some meetups of our own, and then we are going to begin our 2023, race series in earnest starting in February. So, but we're going to be talking about what's coming
next week.
On next week's episode.
Next week. Yeah. So to answer your question, Meg, yes, we're coming.
We are indeed. So let's talk
if you're
about
asking us.
I think she was.
I think she was. I don't know.
Let's talk about running, eating, and drinking in 2022.
Yeah.
Because you were alluding to it. This was Amy just realized I poured a beverage while we were talking.
You did.
And by the way, I think you mentioned it. We are having a beverage tonight as we record. This is the 2019 vintage of a beer made by our friends at Intuition Ale Works called Underdark. Underdark is named for, or it's a reference to the deep, dark recesses of the world underground in Dungeons and Dragons. And they always do a big beer release celebration there, and they actually host Dungeons and Dragons games in the brewery.
Apparently,
the artwork on these gives a nod to the fantasy role-playing game Dungeons and Dragons. All their labels are different every year,
right?
But they all have a very similar theme. So
this is 10%. And aged in Willet rye barrels, according to Untapped.
Well,
so I hope that is correct.
It is a dark, completely opaque, heavy-bodied barrel-aged stout, and I've been sipping a little bit. You can absolutely taste the barrel on this. This is very boozy. Cheers, and cheers to everybody here as we
It
begin the
smells
show.
like molasses, brown sugar, kind of raisin notes. I don't know.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Mhm. Yeah.
Can you taste the booziness?
Oh yeah.
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 So
This is
it
why
really-
we have little tiny tasters.
very tiny, very, very tiny.
Of this. Okay.
Yeah.
Because.
Woo. So anyway, this is one we picked up this year.
In 2022 February.
Yeah.
February.
We picked this beer up at Intuition Ale Works when we were running the Donna Marathon weekend.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's what a great way to start out the running segment, is talking about, a great marathon weekend meetup at the Donna up in Jacksonville, Florida. And, that was such a great start to the year. And it was one where we finally got the opportunity to meet so many of you face to face, and that absolutely filled our hearts with joy. And we made friends that weekend, and it was amazing to do the social shakeout run, the official 5K, and then the half.
It was a great weekend. And even, just there, we had such a group that was so friendly and so encouraging and so inspiring together. And then we had people virtually cheering us on, like Meg, who couldn't be there, like Darlene, who couldn't be there, who are in the chat now, like Jennifer Fink, who found us during the pandemic, like James Loves Trail Runs, who says, I found you on a live feed from a run you were doing, and I can't remember. It wasn't a Disney run. It might have been Donna. And all he can remember is how much fun you were having. We were having. That's, yeah.
And we also had the opportunity to introduce our Runcation Nation to some of our friends who are local up there, like Amanda Napolitano and Mike and Andy Sharp, and and Babs, and get to kind of help grow the community a little bit and build those connections. So hopefully this year, as we have more members of the Runcation Nation coming back to Jacksonville, Florida to run the Donna, and coming back to Florida to Tampa for the Gasparilla, it's going to help grow everyone's connections to one another and build community. And I think that was just a great way to kick off the year.
And that's where we met Dean first.
Yes.
Right at the finish of the half. So Dean and then Judy, and just that was a great start to the year in terms of running. I mean, that we did another race prior to that, but I think that was just such a special one, because we had planned and talked about it and just envisioned how wonderful it would be, and it was.
Oh yeah,
it was. And I can't imagine anything better.
No,
I just want to have more of them and more frequently.
Indeed.
Yeah.
And speaking of meeting up, we did get to venture out of the state this year. In March.
Yeah.
And we made it up to Virginia Beach for the Shamrock Run. And we did the Shamrock Half.
No, we did the 8K.
Or 8K, excuse me, 8K.
Maybe it was just feeling a little long at that time. I don't know.
No, it was the fact that we were on the same course.
Well, that's true. That's true. I really liked how we got to cheer on the marathoners the next day.
That was cool.
From our hotel.
Right on the beach.
Like to walk out on the course and be right there. That was awesome.
Yes.
That was so great. Meg talks a lot about cheering on other runners and what it does for you, and how it is hard work to be out there as a cheer squad, but it's so fulfilling.
Oh,
and
100%.
How, as a runner, how much it means to fellow runners.
And you know what they're going through. You may not be as fast or you may not be as slow as the person you're cheering on, but you know what they're going through. And we've all had great miles and we've all had crappy miles.
We've had miles where we just feel like we hit the wall and we can't go on. And then there's somebody with a sign that says, tap here to power up. Or there's somebody like Meg that says, here, let me let me give you here, random stranger, here, have some of these snacks that I have packaged for you.
Yeah.
Or, you know,
And in the context of a
water.
race, that's perfectly socially acceptable.
Water or a shot or a beer
Or
or
mimosa.
or pickle juice for cramps or just Gatorade or Powerade or cupcakes and just it yeah.
I know.
It's fantastic to cheer people on. And Shamrock was really great because we could meet all 4 of them from the Will Run 4
Mhm.
podcast crew. And we could also meet Chris Darling
Darling.
from the Extra Mile podcast group.
Who introduced us to some local food and beverage there.
So they all introduced us to some great stuff
Oh yeah.
in the Virginia Beach area. And it's a place that I want to get back to and explore and indulge more.
Indeed. And we're going to be talking about that and perhaps a complication around that on next week's episode. So stay tuned for that bit.
Yeah. Meg says we need more cowbell for dopey runners.
Right? Yeah.
You got to have more cowbell.
The dopey runners, you guys doing those races over the weekend. Ooh, that's a lot of miles.
It's a lot of miles.
With
You're
no
ready.
days in between.
You're excited. You're going to be fueled by, your own energy and enthusiasm and thinking about all those miles that you did to get to where you are. And we're going to be excited to cheer you on.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So
that was a new race for us. And it was
the Shamrock weekend. Yeah.
And it was our first opportunity to get out of the state. Now, we had a very
In
aggressive
a while.
schedule for out of state travel this year. And we did have some complications that came up and prevented most of that travel. And we'll get to talking about that.
Yeah.
So we're going to come back to Florida for another one because it's a new run for us.
Yeah. So Babs, I think she could convince somebody to do damn near anything.
I know why you're saying this.
And she's like, "Oh, you've got to come do the Gate River Run. It's only 15K. It's not even a half.
Not even a half.
Not even a half. You're
I
going to
remember
love
this
it.
distinctly.
There are going to be, it's just like Donna, where you have like people on the course cheering you on. It's going to be great.
Okay.
There's just a teeny tiny little
bridge at the end. Yeah. Now I will say this. She was correct. The Jacksonville and the areas around Jacksonville proper, they really have adopted these races.
It's true.
Like the Donna, like the Gate River Run. This I didn't know what to expect.
Right.
I mean, we knew that the race course was going to kind of take us in more of the downtown. So we were actually running on a couple of different bridges.
Yeah, 2 of them, but I just remember one with the Fire of 1,000 Suns.
And tell us why, Aim. What exactly about it do you remember?
It got its name, the Green Monster, for a reason. I thought 90-degree angles were only for math.
Or walls.
Or building houses.
Yeah. It's not quite a 90-degree angle, but it felt like a 90-degree angle. And it's in the last mile of the race.
Yes.
And I will say that this is the reason I think that in years past, they used to have that mile or that bridge at mile 11.5 to 12.5 at Donna. And they've
but not that same bridge, but a bridge leading to the Mayo Clinic.
Yeah. Races that have a bridge at the very end. What are you doing to us, man? Because wow,
you're like,
was something else.
I don't know. Is it a metaphor? Is it supposed to be metaphorical?
Oh, could be. At that point, though, my brain's not processing metaphors very well. It's literally wanting to be done. So
yeah,
the metaphors are getting lost. But the bridge itself, really cool to look at.
Oh, sure.
Really great view of downtown
when you
Jacksonville
get to
from the top.
Takes a lot to get to the top for me.
Very well organized. We had so much fun.
We did.
And the neighborhoods were great.
Yes.
They were great.
Yes.
Not unlike Donna, not a lot of, like pink, but a lot of signs warning you about the bridge.
Oh yeah.
Everybody it's kind of funny how they embrace that. For Donna and it being about breast cancer, everything's about boobs. For this one, everything's about the green monster.
Yes.
Everything.
Yes.
It's hysterical.
Yeah. Like, don't go here, wrong way. Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
What were you thinking? But yeah, amazing event. That's one that we've talked about. Maybe that'll be a repeat run for us as well.
I don't know. We'll
because
have to see.
we really enjoyed that one.
Yeah.
And it's a great one for us to kind of maybe incorporate as a training run because it's relatively close. It's a day trip.
Yeah. So we'll see how that goes. It wasn't all about the running.
No.
It
about
was
eating and drinking and people.
About people that we got to speak with and be inspired by as part of the running community.
Indeed.
So I would just like to say that, I mean, you gave a shout out about our silent auction, but I would just like to give also a shout out to the people who gave us a chance to speak to them.
Oh yeah. People have no idea as podcast hosts what it's like. I mean, Amy is the one that does all the legwork. I joke and say I show up and I carry stuff, but I really show up and carry stuff. She does all the heavy lifting. She writes the show outlines. She does the show notes. She does the
Hopefully
episode artwork.
It's good.
She does, the vast majority of the content on the website. She does all of that, including reaching out to any guests that we get on the show and letting them know that we are interested in getting them on. That is 100% Amy's work. And me, I get a text or a phone call, we've got Dave McGilvery.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what?
Uh-huh.
Are you kidding me?
That was amazing.
All of our guests this year were amazing.
Fitz, that was amazing.
Well, okay, Fitz, and what was so great was we got to meet her for the first time this year.
Yeah.
And become friends.
Yes.
I mean, we
Yes.
actually got the opportunity to become friends with her.
Mhm.
And that's from the show and that's from you reaching out. But people don't realize, these people may have heard of the show. They may probably not have heard of the show.
No, I mean, we're small.
And they take a chance
Yeah.
sometimes. They listen to a part of an episode and they're like, oh, okay, these folks sound all right. And
Yeah.
and they give us a shot. And that's huge. That's
It
a leap of faith on
is.
their part.
And he is an icon, a hero, one of the first charity runners.
Oh, Dave. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And Fitz, just an inspiring figure who just her outlook on life and what that is, how that impacts running, how that impacts fighting disease, how that impacts living your best life.
And then of course, her partner Rudy. We just recently had both of them on the show, and Rudy was part of our very early running experience,
when
before there was a podcast.
When he was with Run Disney.
So we knew that voice, and we knew him, and from seeing him on the stage and running past him and waving at him, and getting the chance to get to know him.
It was wonderful to chat with them. And it was inspiring to interview Adrienne Haslet.
Yes.
That was a great series of talks that we had with her. Just the way, I think the message about the way that running can change your life.
And hers is such a poignant one. Change your life physically, change your life emotionally, change your career track. I mean,
everything.
Kind of, it hit every aspect for her. And oh, gosh, I mean, that's just this year. And we've had many others over the previous years of the show, but
Jeff Galloway,
and of course we've had Jeff on the show, and Chris Twiggs and Meb, and so many.
Oh, in the past years, yes.
Yeah, and so many more in
Catherine
previous years.
Switzer. Oh,
But it's so wonderful, in 2022 for us to get these people who kind of touch running from different angles
perspectives, yeah, because
or
yeah,
came to running from a different angle.
from different angles, but also impacted differently because Fitz and Rudy, they're race announcers. Dave
But
is
also runners.
Yeah, but also runners. And Dave is a runner, but also a race director.
Yeah.
Of so many. And Adrian, she is an advocate and an inspirational speaker.
Yeah.
By trade now, but employed that way. And it's it's so
It's for me, it's so disparate. Like the way they came
different,
to running,
yeah.
the way it impacted them is so different. But the running is the thing we all have in common.
And that's the same. That is the same. So it is just, it's like James loves trail runs. He's here in the chat. He says, it reminds me of running USA toughest 10K. I never climbed or ran so far and never really went anywhere. Like on the bridge he's talking about, 42 feet of elevation change.
4,200 feet.
Yeah.
Of elevation change.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. So
that to me, I think was some of the most interesting shows. And of course, everything we're talking about tonight, guys, we are going to have links in the show notes so that you can go back and find their interviews.
Sure. And you can on our website, when you go to the shows page, you can just type in, Fitz, and you'll find.
Yes.
Or Dave McGilvery or Adrian Haslett or anything. The Gate River Run. What was that like? You can search for it, but we will have links in the show notes. Yes.
Yeah. And not a sponsorship, although Fitz has become a sponsor of the show. The fact that we were able to meet her as a race announcer, get to know her because of her book, become friends, and then she believed in us enough to sponsor the show.
Yeah.
I mean, again, we're small but mighty, and and she's doing that on the leap of faith because of the amazing community that we have, and you guys have really come through for us. So and by extension for her. So we really appreciate that.
Yeah.
And it's just amazing that she would do that. And that was like those were some of the highs, I think, for the year.
Yeah.
And then we, of course, we've talked about it before, in lives, and we've talked about it
on episodes.
Yes. Where we got some bad news this year. And we are currently assisting with a family member who's going through cancer treatment ourselves. And things are looking good, things are looking up, but anybody who's been through it
knows that there are ups and downs, and
it's a marathon,
not a sprint, and it's not a straight line.
It is not
to recovery.
So as a result of that, we had to modify some of our plans. And that's okay, because we have a priority, and that priority is making sure that your dad is healthy and well taken care of.
And he and my mom have everything they need in order to fight this and beat this and be with us for as long as possible.
So we are super excited that we've been able to, move some things to next year and to be able to prioritize that and focus on the things that are important. But as a result, what that's forced us to do is to use running and our own personal training to deal with stress, to focus on our own fitness. And we don't do the New Year's resolutions type thing. We admit during the holidays we eat poorly and maybe don't run quite as much as we ought to, but
we indulge
a little bit.
We indulge in a different kind of, it's not exploring and indulging in new places. it's exploring and indulging in food and beverage that brings us together as a family.
Yeah. Old family recipes,
Traditions.
traditional recipes.
Yeah.
Literally old family recipes that were in a book that Amy digitized, those types of things. So,
Yeah.
so that's kind of the focus here. And then so we had that happen, and that caused us to recalibrate those races that we intended to go out of state. So we ended
Yeah.
up being, in state a good bit this year.
Yeah. I mean, we did the Walt Disney World 10K.
We did,
And
which is in state.
And which is in state. And Rhonda Lee has just joined the chat. And I just want to say that one of the most fun memories from 2022 was being in Canada in the World Showcase and doing a live and having a beer with her virtually.
Yes, talking
That
to an
was-
actual Canadian.
that was great.
in fake Canada at Epcot. Yes.
Fake Canada.
So yeah, so we've had some challenges, and we've
Yeah.
shared those with you guys, and you guys have been so amazing in being supportive, and for that we can't thank you all enough. Then of course the big one that impacted us personally, just 90 days ago,
It's hard
almost
to believe.
90 days to the day.
It's hard to believe. Yeah.
Yeah, 90 days ago we were sitting in the dark
Yeah.
on our back porch eating
Oh.
effectively eating MREs
Yeah.
because Hurricane Ian
Which
blew
we've said
through
before. Yeah.
Southwest Florida.
Mhm.
And we've been spending the last 3 months, rebuilding, recovering, repairing our own damages here, doing, work in the yard, on the house. And yeah. And it is really hard sometimes to, get some of the training runs in like you would want to
Mhm.
when your environment outside is actually dangerous.
Yes.
So we had to
Very
modify some
heavily.
training around that as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then looking back on it, it was kind of funny. I'd forgotten that we've been doing the show long enough that we also got knocked out a bit during
Irma.
Hurricane Irma.
That was our first year.
Yeah.
That was our first year. So if anybody has been a long-term listener, we just celebrated our 5th anniversary of the podcast this past June in 2022, which was a
Mhm.
great milestone. And shout out to Pam and Ariel, who designed us a great t-shirt
Yeah, they did.
to celebrate that. But like we have around we kind of have bookends of hurricane experiences that we've had to races have been canceled and rescheduled, and that Hurricane Irma in 2017,
Mhm.
when we went through that, they had to cancel the Fit Foodie run, and we were supposed to interview Meb for the very first time at that race.
Yes.
Now we turned around and we ended up getting him at Gasparilla months later. But when you think about just the way that weather and natural disasters can impact your training and have impacted our show, but really our community has been here for us in every way.
And this community has been so amazing over the years, from passing of my sister
Yeah.
to checking on us during the hurricanes. I mean, so many of you guys were reaching out to us and trying to get messages to us during
Yeah.
the outages during Hurricane Ian. When there was no cellular communication here
No.
for about 4 days. There was really nothing
Yeah.
here. And, we were without power for, I want to say we were close to without power, aside from
Here.
the generators, for about 2 weeks.
Yeah.
So
Close to it. So
it was during that time I was definitely losing track of days
and
because I'd
hours
forgotten
and-
I worked 17 days straight.
yeah.
And I think I actually misplaced 10 days when we were trying to record at one point.
Yes.
And you're like, no,
It was longer than
it was
that.
much longer than that.
You're
I'm like,
just
oh,
trying to block it all out. But on the heels of that experience, we overcame that. And as a result of that, we we focused our energy on giving back and reaching out for donations. And like you said, I won't belabor the point, but I just want to say everybody who participated and bid on on our silent auction items for the Donna Foundation, everybody who donated, Meg and Emily and Catherine Switzer and Dave McGilvery and Jeff Galloway and
Fitz
and Bart Yasso
and
and
Bart, yes.
Alex Tatko and Greg and Jovina from Nice Guys Pizza. Everybody, Colin and Annie from Sunday's Bloodies, everybody who donated or bid or both. Some did both.
Mhm.
And I just can't emphasize enough how much that experience meant when we look at how far we've come through that hurricane, and we were able to come together as a Runcation Nation and give back to the Donna Foundation so that others who are in families that are fighting cancer can have, pay a bill instead of choosing between paying a bill and having a cancer treatment.
Yeah,
So
they shouldn't have to make that choice.
Right. So what you did for us and what we'll be able to contribute, what we have contributed already with you, has been amazing. Amazing.
100%.
Yeah.
And I wasn't exaggerating. It looks like the storm came aground October 27th.
Yeah.
So yeah, about 30
September.
I'm sorry, September 27th.
Yeah.
October, November. So it's 3 months almost to the day. And we were still definitely without power and eating some less than optimal food, which really makes you appreciate some of the amazing food that we have had the chance to have on the show over the past year even. I mean, and we just recently revisited this place on Christmas Eve, and that is Bull and Bear at the Waldorf Astoria in Orlando, Florida. This is a high-end steakhouse that has a very small and focused menu, but some amazing, just amazing dishes, whether you're wanting dry aged beef, if you're really wanting to go for the cream of the crop, the creme de la creme of meat, and go for, like, I don't know, a Wagyu carpaccio.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe.
It was so good.
Or, Iberico pork mousse inside of these perfect little pillows of pasta.
I can't tell you how much
pasta explosion.
That was just delicious, delightful food.
Mm-hmm.
The wait staff is second to none.
Oh,
they're fantastic. The hosts, the bartenders, the servers, everyone, food runners, you name it. They are just wonderful, wonderful, wonderful.
Top notch. And this is a true white tablecloth dining experience. So again,
special occasion.
We don't often cover those types of places, but when we do, we want to bring you guys the ones that are just going to be awesome. And this is absolutely one of those.
Yeah.
And when we, of course, go to Tampa, we do like to find things with Latin flair.
Of course.
Very often.
I mean, Cuban, Latin,
Spanish.
But the Booyah Gastro Bar is another example where the wait staff and the food, just awesome.
Yeah. Paella.
Yeah.
To die for.
I think that I had a picture of me looking very, very fondly at the paella, and I had some interesting creative captions that people submitted on social media.
Some of them may not have been safe for work.
Yeah. Okay. So JoJo's saying, yeah, the restaurant that we went to in Atlanta had white tablecloths.
It did.
Yeah.
Not every restaurant with a white tablecloth is a quote unquote white tablecloth experience, but she's right. That one happened to be. I mean, they had a little more of a that was a pasta place or Italian restaurant, in Atlanta, and
Yes.
and that had a
So
little more of a
good.
homey feel, even though they
So
had white tablecloths.
comforting.
This
Yes.
is more fine dining,
Mhm.
but yeah, that place was amazing
It
too.
was. It was.
The other one, and to go the complete opposite direction,
Well, you have to have a great breakfast slash brunch place.
yeah, and Egg Bistro
That has to be a
in
top one from this year.
Virginia Beach. Wow.
What a recommendation from the Will Run 4 folks.
Yes, and reiterated, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, by Chris Darling
Oh.
also.
So, yeah, applause, because we had like the chicken and waffles, and your Benedict,
Mm-hmm.
that like the grit cake Benedict.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, wow.
And I have
It was
tried.
so good.
I have tried. I don't have the skill or the patience to do homemade grit cakes. I have messed up every grit cake or polenta cake I've ever tried. I give up.
Yeah.
And seeing them do that so perfectly there, absolutely incredible.
Jojo says Flying Biscuit in Atlanta. Is
Flying
also
Biscuit
very
in
good.
Atlanta is awesome, and I cannot wait to get back there
To get some apple butter.
for the Jeff Galloway's race.
Mhm.
But that's for next episode.
Yeah. So, so Egg Bistro, that
What a winner. Yeah.
Yeah.
In the Virginia Beach area, that is
Mhm.
that is bringing it back to a race that we did this year out of the state.
Mm-hmm. And I can't. Also in the Virginia Beach area, Chicks on the Beach, right next door to our hotel for the Shamrock. That.
Yeah. I'm picky about beach eats because growing up in Tampa,
Seafood.
Tampa or Tampa, St. Pete, Clearwater, that was kind of my haunt.
You're like a seafood snob.
I've said it before.
Yeah.
And my parents always took me to fish houses to eat. My dad liked to go out to eat seafood, so we would do it a lot. And Chicks on the Beach, great view right on the Atlantic, so beautiful, and the food was stellar.
I loved that she crab soup and the steamer that we had. Just delicious.
Josh is saying goodbye over on YouTube. Josh, thanks for hanging out with us. We appreciate it. We'll see you later. Happy New Year and drive safe tonight.
Yeah.
So, yeah, Chicks on the Beach, CHIX.
Yeah.
Absolutely fantastic. And like we say,
Rondalee says she has a nephew that when he was younger, he loved going to fancy restaurants that had the cloth napkins.
Yeah.
Yeah. But there's something to be said for all these kinds of experiences that we were lucky enough to have this past year. Eating on the beach and then just walking on the beach afterwards.
Oh, literally. Yeah. Being able to walk out the back of the restaurant and put your feet in the sand on the Atlantic Ocean. I mean, how awesome was that? And the next morning getting to see the U.S. Navy out on the horizon.
Yeah.
I mean, an entire carrier group was moving. It was really,
great.
Really cool to see.
It was great.
But yeah, I mean, so when we're talking those kinds of that kind of dining, of course, what usually goes along with that is beverages.
Great beverages. And we have, like the smoking bull at Bull and Bear. I know we mentioned Bull and Bear in the food section here.
I would say you brought them back for the drink segment.
Well, because it's an old fashioned, which you love.
I do. I am a fan.
It's a smoked old fashioned, which is your favorite kind of old fashioned, I think.
This is true.
In a glass bowl.
It's a glass decanter that is sculpted to look like a bowl. And it's huge. I mean, it's probably one of the most expensive cocktails you'll get, but it serves 2.
Well,
actually it serves, I think they say it serves 4.
But
and
we tried hard and we believed in ourselves.
Yeah. So it's served,
we didn't drive anywhere.
but they also will do a half serving.
Yes.
And so you've got the liquid, you've got the layer of smoke in there. They do everything table side. It's just such a cool presentation, and the flavor of the cocktail itself at the end is well worth it. It's not just showmanship. It's not all show, no go.
It's very good, and I think it was one of my favorites of the year.
We also we're back at Virginia Beach again.
I know.
We were able to do the meetup with our friends from the We'll Run For podcast, and they recommended Smart Mouth Brewing.
So, I mean, it was like an 80s dream,
80, yeah, okay. Beers made out of
like cereal names
cereals.
from the Saturday morning cartoons.
Yeah.
Oh.
I mean, Fruity Pebbles.
Yeah.
Anyone?
Yeah.
You know, Cookie Crisp,
Lucky Charms.
Lucky Charms. They made beers out of them.
Yeah.
I mean,
Inspired by them.
or they flat out use the ingredient.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I mean, what a
Good
neat
stuff.
concept, and of course, a great space. I love.
It was very open.
As we've done this show over the years, we've not by design, we've accidentally gravitated into the breweries more frequently. One, because we like beer, but two, because so many breweries are associated with running groups. They're very welcoming spaces to podcasters, which is very nice if you want to record in one. And they're so different from brewery to brewery. You know, even though many of them are a tap room and a rick house, and they have a little shop area, and they're in an industrial area, but seeing what these breweries do to make it uniquely their own is really cool. And some of the spaces that we have discovered are just fun.
Phenomenal.
And fun. Hard to beat.
So before the hurricane came in late September, one of the last trips we took was to Sarasota.
Right up the road.
To a place that we had heard about and kind of stalked on social media because they had a really great social media game, Calusa Brewing.
Oh, yes.
I really enjoyed that they had such a wide variety of styles, and their Oktoberfest beers were delightful.
We were specifically going up because they were doing some Oktoberfest stuff. And there happened to be a great food truck up there that we were wanting to go see.
Mobster Lobster.
And we knew that we were likely going to get impacted by the storm. Little did we know, and contrary to what the local meteorologists were saying, it was not supposed to hit our way. But we said, well, this will be like kind of the last hurrah before we're, reined in for a couple of days and can't really do much. Boy, did we underestimate that.
Yeah, but this was great. And come to find out that they were hosting a fundraiser too. And they had a wide variety of styles that were just delightful.
Absolutely. And this is a space, again, kind of in an industrial area, but what an awesome space on the inside.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And you can see the brewery. You can see there's plenty of space in the parking lot for the food truck of choice to set up. There's some outdoor seating so that if the weather is right and nice, like we've had over the last couple of weeks, actually, then you can see.
Well, yeah. I mean, in the last couple of weeks, we even participated in winter here in Florida. We were below freezing.
Yes. We participated in winter.
Yes. We got our participation trophy this year.
We would ring the bell, but we don't want to.
Calusa Brewing is one I'd like to actually go back to. It's close enough for us to day trip to. We could do like a local training run. We could go, hit them on the way home, get a growler fill, eat whatever food truck's there. It would be great. And that's an awesome location for people to check out.
Indeed.
If they're staying anywhere on the west coast of Florida, from say Tampa South.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think we've had highlights. We've had a lot of Florida highlights because of the way things have fallen in 2022. But I think we've also had some great out of state finds in the capacity that we could travel. Yes. And I think we've had amazing interviews, amazing runs, amazing races, amazing meetups.
It was.
And
amazing.
Wonderful events. I'm trying.
You're doing great.
A is for amazing.
A is for amazing. No, we really, for a year like 2022, for us to have accomplished, in my opinion, what we were able to accomplish.
Yes.
it really says a lot. And
Mhm.
again, much of it says so much about the caliber of all of you out there in the Runcation Nation and your willingness to support us and to support the
Yeah.
cause that we are supporting this year, which is the Donna Foundation. We can't thank you enough. The fact that we were able to get out of state at all, that we were able to
Yeah.
explore some new races and places for food and beverage, and that we were able to do our very first fundraiser in 2022 in the midst of all the stuff that's been going on, is pretty incredible for 2022.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to what 2023 has to
in store.
offer.
Yes.
Spoiler alert, we are planning on getting out of the state much more this year.
And a lot of people in the chat are asking when we will talk about what our race plans are for 2023, and that's next week.
That is next week. So we are not going to spoil that. Stay tuned until then. Dan Rams just jumped into the chat.
Maria Miller's here.
They did a bridge run tonight over for the Cape Coral running group. Awesome.
Bridge run.
Huh, yeah, there's a way to get your hill work right there. But we've covered running, eating, and drinking, and all of 2022. That is a wrap on this year. But before we go, we want to thank our sponsor and friend of the show, Fitz Kohler.
Yes, we do. She speaking of our auction, she donated an enrollment to her brand new course, Fixing Your Life with Fitness, and all the donations that the bidding that came in benefited the Donna Foundation.
Yeah, that's amazing. Thank you for doing that for us, Fitz.
Yeah.
We're in the midst of the class ourselves. We're going to be applying a lot of this to our fitness and training goals for 2023. And it's an in-depth course with 5 hours of content that changes your life for the better in absolutely every way, not just your training. But we're starting there. And then that kind of trickles out into everything else.
I think it affects every aspect of your life. The course is broken down into 8 powerful modules. You can take them at your own pace, and it's taught by Fitz, and she's real.
Yeah.
She is just real. She's practical. She's honest. She's funny. And what she teaches works.
And it resonates. You're not going to hear her say something and go, huh? No, everything she says rings really, really true. And what I really appreciate, aside from Fitz's amazing generosity with the donation, she's also given us a discount code. If you enter RED22 in the discount code box, that takes 20% off the entire course. That same code also gets you 20% off of her book, My Noisy Cancer Comeback, which, if you're watching the video, you can see right here.
Yes, it's very central on our set. So thank you to Fitz for sponsoring this week's show. We're going to put a link to the course in the show notes. Check out the course, Fixing Your Life with Fitness at fitness.com.
I love it. That's it, guys. The 2022 is in the can. 2023 is ahead. The next time we talk to you, we'll be talking to you from the future.
Happy New Year for everybody. Hope you have a safe and happy celebration this weekend. Thank you for joining us in 2022 on your long runs, your commute to work, around the house, wherever you are. I'm your host, Amy.
And I'm your co-host, Dana.
Stay safe and well, and we will accomplish, explore, and indulge with you really soon in 2023.
Thanks for listening to this week's episode of the Run, Eat, Drink podcast. We're having another great year thanks to your support. Don't forget to follow us on Facebook and Instagram. We're at Run, Eat, Drink Podcast. And on Twitter, we're Run, Eat, Drink Pod. You can also give us a call at 941-677-2733 or send us an email at info@runeatdrink.net. Visit our website at runeatdrink.net and click on the subscribe link so you don't miss a minute. Find out how you can support the show at patreon.com/runeatdrinkpodcast. Accomplish, explore, and indulge right along with us. We'll talk to you next time.